Good morning. This is not where you normally get to see us. We're at the beach. We're here to talk about tracks.
Hey everybody, we're at the beach today.
Sunny Old Orchard Beach.
Hi.
So today what we're talking about is actually tracking. So we don't have any snow because it's 27th of September and we're starting to get into deer hunting, starting to kind of get the buck fever going. Our necks are swelling up a little bit. And we said, well, let's do a little tracking video. Let's do a little training video, and this is why we're at the beach today. Besides enjoying the nice weather while we got it.
If you want to study tracks or understand tracking, this is the place to do it, especially in the off season. If you're interested in it, you'll be checking it out all the time, and we got some kind of cool things to show you.
Let's do it.
There's basically 4 different aspects to tracks. You have the imprint itself, you have the stride, like the pace of the track, and then you have the line of the track, looking at it multiple tracks like in a long series. And then the other thing that's important about tracks too is the attitude. Attitude will give you predictability of like what's going to happen next, and it'll explain kind of what's going on.
He's going real slow, and he's poking along nice and easy, and he's stopping a lot. So I'm gonna have to go real easy and catch up on him.
We'll kind of show it to you.
So we have your kind of individual tracks, and depending on the material, you can see that here's your dog track and here's your seagull track, and the weight of the animal is different, so the size is always going to be different. All 4-legged dogs or deer or anything like that, you're going to have tracks are going to want to land in the same exact spot a lot of times, and you can see here that there's 2 tracks in one, so it looks big, but this is where two of the paws actually hit together here. We're going to talk a little bit about actually what's happening when we're making the track. So we have a little section here that we raked out, and there's no tracks whatsoever, so we're actually going to make some tracks and see what happens when one of us walks down it and see what our attitude kind of looks like, so you can kind of tell what happens when you come upon a deer track right on the road.
All the way down through. Every time he turns his head aloft, you can see it in the track. If you were to draw a line all the way down it. So when you see the track doing this, a lot of times you can tell what's going on. A big buck, when he's walking along, it'll be nice even spacing, and he's doing his thing. As soon as he puts his head down to start smelling the ground, his front legs have to be wider because his neck comes in, and he does this. A lot of deer tracks, I've followed him down the road, and he's going along, and he's got a decent step, and then all of a sudden he puts his head down, and it does this a little bit. And then when he picks his head up, it narrows down again. That width of the 2 tracks as it goes says a lot about the attitude of the animal or whatever it is you're following. And you can see every time Ryan turns his head, it even shows up in a person's tracks. Now, not that that's that important to you, right? But it goes to show the nuances of what you're seeing when you look down a line of tracks. It's important to have a nice big track. It's important to have a nice stride because we want a big animal. But also, too, the line and the attitude that you can get from that is so important.
Now here's another scenario. If somebody's just walking along, or even your deer is walking along,
Nice,
and something draws him, and it changes things, right? Now we've just seen what happens. Now let's walk down. And when we're looking at this, and we're looking down, see there's a double. So something happened there. Right? There was a change in attitude or something happened. And as we work our way right down his tracks he just made, you can see right here just almost exactly what happens. He heard and stepped and went boom, and then this other little turn back, right? Deer will do that quite a bit as they're going through the woods. They're going to stop at a lot of like intersections and places.
Yep.
And that's going to be a little bit more of a deal.
When there's a change in the woods or they come across another track, there's going to be a lot of this stopping so they can check things out because they're keeping stability. No one stops in mid-stride. There's no balance in that. You've never done that.
And the stops usually happen at a topography change, where you're going up the hiking trail, and when people stop and rest is usually on a little flat spot, and it's like you never see deer or anything laying down too much on a big slope or anything like that. They usually get to a nice even spot. They're like, oh, time to take a break, and that's what people do, and that's what deer do, the same exact thing. So you can kind of use the land and use what's happening to your advantages to maybe predict what's happening. And so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a little situation where we're gonna see if we can diagnose and see what happens to the tracks. And so that's coming up now.
So Dad, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little experiment. The three of us are gonna walk next to each other, and because I'm the heaviest, I have almost the same size stride as Ryan. Our insteps, our feet are all the same exact size, but based on the size and stride of us, you're gonna have to tell those characteristics apart, because we all have about the same size boot. We're gonna have Dad turn around, he won't be able to see, and he's gonna be able to pick out which one is which.
Right.
We'll see. If he can't do it, you guys can rib him.
So these guys are going to be walking down through, and then we'll look over the tracks afterwards, try and figure out who was who and what they did. And we're going to have track A, B, and C here. So, and I promise to
Not cheat.
not cheat.
Don't cheat.
No cheat.
Doesn't prove anything if you cheat.
Right. I'm not going to watch what they do at all. You ready or what?
Yes, we're doing it.
Okay.
We're making a plan. Gotta have a game plan. You go right up there.
I won't know who's A, B, and C, and we'll see if we can figure it out. You all set now? Yep. Okay, they're all set.
Yeah.
We're gonna go have a look at them.
All right. What do you think?
Okay,
Take a look.
I'll give it a try.
You can do it. How hard could it be?
Let's see what we got here.
Okay.
Well, this one here, I'm gonna say right off the bat, looks like Taylor. That's a big number A here. Looks like Taylor. The other thing I could do is probably test, see how tall this person is. This is a pretty big, it's pretty heavy. The track is deep down in. Now it comes time to eliminate Casey maybe, or Beaver, and this one's still kind of big and long, and this one looks worn out. Casey actually does, only because I know him, he does more walking, and his shoes are probably worn out more than the other guys.
He knows this buck. He knows that
I know
buck.
this buck because he's cheap. Right, his shoes,
Hey,
there's no
man.
tread left on his shoes. So I would say Taylor, Ryan, and Casey is the order A, B, and C.
Well, you're right on one of them.
Right,
This is Casey.
Oh,
I'm the center. Ryan's the top.
I'm the big heavy one. Oh
He's a big stride. Ryan's got a really
Okay, so what exactly were you looking for to determine the difference between us guys?
Well, for starters, I'm looking for stride because I know one is shorter, right? So that's a little bit of a cheating thing because one is shorter. The other thing is I'm only looking at a short distance here.
Yes.
A longer distance would help. And you can't assess like a deer's tracks in a very short while. If we're driving down the road, we pull up and there's a deer track crossing the road. So we get out and we look at it, and if we determine that it's pretty big, it's a big, decent-sized deer, it's got an attitude, kind of walking right along like a buck. It's not a dainty little lady like a doe doing her thing. It's something bigger, and it could be a buck. So I get out, I follow it for quite a ways. I might have to take a buck 300-400 yards out through and into the woods just to determine if it's a good big deer or not, and if it's something I want to follow, and to make sure that it's a buck or whatever. I might have to go quite a ways to find the actual real evidence to know for sure. But in order to develop the deer's attitude, to tell how far away it is, like in the beginning of November, deer go like crazy. There's no does in heat. The bucks are searching, and they'll walk miles and miles trying to find deer. And if they've got that like zombie walk on, and they're just walking for miles and miles and just going and going. And I know not to follow the darn thing because he's not going to be, or drive around and see if he's come out of this section of woods and dropped into another one. That's a big part of it too. But I'm looking for stride and depth, and also too the size. The size is a big part of it, and the line and what's going on. And 25 yards isn't much to assess
two guys that are, you know, within what? You guys are within what? 10 pounds of
20
each other?
20 pounds.
20 pounds of each other. You're both the same size boots, basically. Pretty tough to really. I'd have to see more to really know good.
Yep.
And we're in a little bit of a hurry here, but Casey's gonna pick that out in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And those obvious ones, you'll find a buck that's real obvious, easy to follow. Tyrod, when Taylor first started tracking him, his front feet and his back feet didn't fill the same hole. They offset a little bit. That buck, you could tell his track anywhere. He had the most distinctive, perfect track for picking it out. I could have picked his track out of a million tracks because it was real unique. And when you learn a little, you know, some uniqueness about your particular deer, that'll help too.
Also, too, one of the things that we forgot to mention is when you're brand new to tracking, it's really cool to look at the tracks. It's really fun to kind of decipher, and it's kind of like reading a book because you get to see what's happening and you get to kind of experience it as it's going along. But the reason why you track deer is so you can get close to them, and tracking deer gets you close to them. You don't have to wait in a stand or anything like that. But when I was starting to track, I messed up a lot of times because I was like, oh my god, look at that track, that's so cool. And then I hear whoosh, whoosh, and they're 200 yards away, and the deer is just blowing at me, and they're carrying on, and it's like, oh man, I should have been keep my chin up a little bit more. And that was one of the things is what you need to do is you need to stop, analyze the track as far as you can down the track, and then as soon as you start moving, keep your chin up and look for deer. So you're going to look at the track, you're going to see 25 yards or 30 yards or however far you can see them, and then you say, okay, I've gotten all I can get out of the track. I know what his attitude is up until as far as I can see, and then you're going to go from point A where you are to as far as you can see. And you're going to go that far, but while you're going that distance, don't look at the tracks anymore. You should have already kind of planned out where you're going to be stepping, and then you're going to go there. And so while you're moving, you're looking for deer, and you're not looking at the tracks. And then you stop, you check it all out, you look at all, and then you go again. And you're going to keep on doing that. You're going to do that so that way you spend more time looking for deer while you're moving, because when you're moving is when you're going to get caught. When you're stopping, when you're still, you're less likely for the deer to see you.
You'll get it. You'll get it. It's a lot easier to do this on snow than it is on sand.
Or beach.
on the beach. But
Why not?
comments, likes, thumbs up, all that stuff. What do you think? Was this a good cover? Do you guys want us to go a little bit more in depth? Is there something that you didn't quite understand? Put that down below. We'll get your answers as best we can. Ryan ran away. He ran away to find a public bathroom on this beach this time of year. Dude, it ain't happening.
Good luck with that.
It's probably under the pier somewhere. If you've been to Old Orchard Beach, hit that like button, yo. We're probably standing where you've had a sandwich, where you pitched your tent. Okay, we gotta go back to work. A peace.